All right, everyone, welcome to the lunch break here this Tuesday, August 12th, here at FNGO. Appreciate you guys that are going to be joining us or listening to this later on iTunes or Spotify. You over there on TikTok, we're glad you guys could join us. Great day today. It's going to be a long day. Got today's show right now. Got a live well tonight. Some great guests. But as you guys are getting on and all that, I know it generally takes you a couple minutes to get on here, get going, but just want to go ahead and say thank you very much for watching. It's pretty cool to be able to do this every day around lunch and just to give you guys a break from the day. What's up, Jonah? Hope all is well with you. It's good. It's good. It's going to be a good week. Got a great live well for tonight, and I'll go ahead and tell you guys that tonight at 8 o'clock. Okay, we got a couple of hammers that are coming on. And I like making friends with the young guys. That's what I think that's one of the best business models you can have is to make friends with all these young up and coming anglers. What's up, Doug Rice? Doug, I'm going to call you after the show. I know you've called me several times and I'm always busy. I am making a note right now. Call Doug. We definitely want to make sure we get back in touch with you, boss. So I apologize for that. But anyway, University of Montebello, that is just the standard in college bass fishing, and everybody knows it. You can call them you can dislike them because they're so good, or you can love them because they're so good. Either way, when you hear that word in bass fishing, you know the excellence is there. Tonight we got two of their anglers that's going to be joining us on the live well. And they've got a resume. These aren't just a couple of college kids that know how to fish. They have a resume. What's up, Doc Holiday, Cody Campbell Fishing? You guys on TikTok, jump in the comment section as well. Brody Robinson, who is the current 2025 MLF College National Champion, will be one of our guests. And his roommate, these guys are roommates. Dalton Head, who was the 2023 MLF College National Championship. He's a 2025 ACA National Champion, and he's a two-time Bassmaster College Champion. So we will have those guys on, and apparently they just got thrown on to me. We're going to have a special guest in studio. I don't know who it is. I know Dave Aldridge. You guys have watched him on the show. He's going to be here tonight, and Alex will be here running the boards as always. Clint will be here, but Clint said he's bringing somebody, a special guest, and he's not even telling me who it is. So that will be very interesting to see, and we'll figure out how to get everybody in front of a mic. But join us tonight. Ought to be pretty good. Now, we talk on Lake Lanier about the young guys just being hammers. They grew up with the technology. They spent a ton of time on the water, and these two guys are no exception. So not only are we going to hear about their tournament stuff that they've got going on. What's up, Ron? Fred? What we're going to do, too, we're going to try to pick their brains. Now, I believe it was Brody down at ICAST at the line cutters party of all places. So we talked then and asked him if he was interested in coming on. He was like, yeah, loves the show. So it's going to be really good. Rodney Hayes, 95. What's up, buddy? Hope you're doing well today. But again, join us tonight. It's going to be really, really, really good. I have a feeling it's going to be, one you don't want to miss. I just downed a big protein shake right before we came on here, so sorry about that. Now, another thing, too, I want to show you guys right here beside me. In the shop, you see these stickers right here? Okay, when are stickers not just a sticker? When they do stuff like this right here. These are from River, I believe it's called the River Collective Co. We met them down at ICAST. You can pick your charity or your cause of choice, and when you purchase these stickers, 20% goes back to that cause or that charity. And so what we have chosen here in Georgia is the Chattahoochee River Keeper. And we'll read this on the back of this thing. Since 1994, Chattahoochee River Keeper has worked to protect and restore the Chattahoochee River, its lakes and tributaries for the people, fish, and wildlife that depend on the river system. Now we've got these in here. They're $6. And we got a largemouth bass. Of course, we got your brook, your brown, your rainbow trout for all the river guys like that. But if you come in the shop anytime, buy one of these stickers just to support their cause. What's up, Isaac Reynolds? Just to support their cause, and they're pretty cool. And I think if we're going to sell stickers, then we ought to have one that can give back and help do something. So Chattahoochee Riverkeeper gets 20% of all the proceeds from these stickers. So eventually I will put them on the website. I'm trying to rebuild the website. I'm a little bit behind on that, but you're going to be able to do that. But pretty cool. And they give us this nice little thing to hold them in. It's got all the little information and all that. So if you're interested in helping us help Chattahoochee Riverkeeper, come into the shop, buy you a sticker, stick it on your cooler, stick it on your boat, wherever you want to stick a sticker. I know Josh, my partner here, likes to stick them in his van. If you open up his back door, there's just stickers everywhere. They should make a Shoalie. Well, I tell you what, when I reorder, if we sell these out and I reorder, I'll see if they got a shoal bass. That would be pretty cool to have one as well. Speaking of which, now let me do the day in history first, and then we're going to get onto that, because the big overall topic is Bassmaster versus MLF, but there's some other stuff I want to talk about too. But here's your useless information this day in history. August 12th, 1909, for you race fans, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway first opened today in 1909. A lot of you guys like to watch the Indy 500. You NASCAR guys like when it goes there. I will watch both races. Even though I don't watch a lot of the Indy stuff, I will watch the Indianapolis 500. And here's one that I wonder if you know. Today, in 1981, IBM introduced its first personal computer. The model, and I love the name, was 5150 at a press conference in New York. So IBM's first personal computer was basically the first Van Halen album without Sammy Hagar. With Sammy Hagar, without David Lee Roth, the 5150. So there's your useless information. Now, before we start talking about Bassmaster and all that, since you brought up Shoalie, number one, shoal bass are real special to us here in the state of Georgia because it's basically the only place in the nation you can get them. I think there's a little bit in Florida and all that, but basically Georgia is the destination. When you guys go, a lot of you guys fish for spotted bass, largemouth, maybe some striper guys in there listening to us today. How much consideration do you give to the other species of black bass that we have in Georgia? Because I had a young kid come up earlier today, and he is a fly fisherman, and he was headed up here to Amicalola Creek to the edge of the world, and he normally goes up there to fly fish, but today he said, I'm going up there to try to catch some spotted bass. And I was like, yeah, well, you might can. We picked out a couple of crankbaits that he was going to throw in the river for spots. Well, right before I locked the doors for the show, he come back up here, and he got into a mess of red-eye bass. We're talking 12 inches or less, small fish, red-eye bass. And I'm telling you what, so it's kind of like one of those things that's just up the road that we don't think about very often. We like to go to Lanier for the spotted bass, or go to Hickory Log or Latham for the largemouth or whatever. But there are so many other little bass species in the state of Georgia that we have, Shoalie being one of them. You got the Altamaha, the Brahman or something. There's a bunch of them. But this kid had just the best time going up here on a trout stream, catching these little red-eye bass on crankbaits. And we actually sat here for a second, got to talking. What's up, Tony? We got to talking about ways to go up there and catch them. Like, he was throwing a little crankbait, and we were like, I bet a Ned rig would work. And he goes, I bet a Texas rig Helgermite would work. And so we ended up having a conversation about 10 minutes long of a small bass that was no bigger than 9 inches. No bigger than 9 inches. We got into a mess of hornets the other night when I threw my bait in a tree and I was shaking a limb. First time for that, James Ramsey. Got into a hornet's nest, huh? Now, I tell you what, I have had snakes fall in the boat. Josh and I went up one time on Carter's re-reg during a mayfly hatch or something like that and had 15,000 mayflies all over us. Absolutely just, you couldn't even breathe. They were in your mouth, whatever. But I have not had hornets. Now, if you come in and look at my eye, and I take my glasses off and you look very carefully, there is a scar right on my eyelid. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, I took a hornet, black hornet, one of the mean jokers, right to the eyeball. He nailed me. So yeah, if you got stuck with a bunch of hornets, hey, absolutely. I'm glad you made it out okay. Between that, I've only had 2 like animal attacks in my life. All right. One was that hornet, just because that joker attacked me. Now, I don't count the yellow jackets and the wasp, but that hornet chased my butt down. And the other, I got bit in the butt by a chow when I was, I guess, 6 years old. 6 years old, maybe, got bit in the butt. Um, and I say that because me and I lived in a little triplex in Alpharetta. And so the neighbors had a couple kids, and we had a little Iranian family on this side, and they had a couple kids. Well, one of them had a chow that just had puppies. And so we're all walking back there, and we're going to look at this chow and her puppies. Well, of course, she didn't like that. And so she darted out of her, doghouse after us. Listen, I blew that Iranian and those other two kids out of the wall. I mean, blew them away. I was fast. That dog ran right by all of them and bit me. When I say in the butt, guys, I'm talking bit me in the butt, right square in the butt. I can remember running around the front of the house. I'm 53. This was at 6. I still remember that thing. Running around with both hands on my butt, screaming. My mom comes out. She didn't know what was going on. And I had a puncture wound on my derriere. And she called the doctor, and they told her what to do. It wasn't no big deal. I don't even know if I got a scar. I guess if anybody wants to check me for ticks, they might be able to find it. I don't know. But I do know that hornets will attack you. What happened to the chow? It was like the most popular dog in the 90s, and now you don't see them, Jeremy Conrad, because they're mean, dude. A chow is just nothing but mean. I don't know why. Pit bulls get a bad rap. But the chow, I don't know if anything positive you could do with the chow. But you're right. Used to everybody had them, and now you can't see them because I think everybody figured out what kind of dog they are. All right, but anyway, back to that, shoal bass, all these special kind of bass that we have here, that they don't get the headlines that when we talk fish. They don't get the love that the largemouth and spotted bass, the smallmouth bass do. But this kid, his eyeballs, man, they lit up when he come back in here and showed me the pictures of these little fish. He said he only fished for like an hour and a half. And he said it was absolutely amazing. Some of the most fun he's had fishing in a long time. Saw a chow chew a guy up when I was a cop in the 80s. Yeah, they're mean, Doug. I'm telling you, I didn't know you was a cop, Doug. We're surrounded by cops in here at FNGO. Mean dogs. But still, back to that fish, I want to just you guys kind of think that there's a lot more opportunity out here in the state of Georgia than just the major three. And sometimes you got to get off the beaten path to do it. So I told him, maybe before I come in the store tomorrow, or maybe when I get off tomorrow afternoon, I might run up there with an ultralight and just get out, because edge of the world is where he went fishing. Now, for those of you that know the edge of the world, it's right there on the Amicalola Creek. It's just south. It's the most southern point of the delayed harvest section. And it's unfishable in the summertime because every big girl in a bikini that shouldn't be wearing a bikini and her kids are laying out on them rocks. You guys heard me talk about that before. And the kids, they pack a lunch, and those kids are sliding in them little water chutes and everything while mama and her friend are sitting up there with their rebel flag, swimsuits on and just having a good old time. And they'll get there like 10 a.m. in the morning, and they'll stay till dark. And you just can't fish it. But now this time of year, the kids are back in school. The kids are gone. The mamas, I guess, are at home watching The View. I don't know. And so you can go to these opportunities again and try to catch that. So I'm going to go out there and try to catch some red eyes tomorrow. Now, every fish has to be 10 pounds to be a trophy. And I firmly believe that. I think it'll be fun. Messick Outdoors. Does Georgia do the Bass Slam Challenge? I believe they'll send you a patch if you catch every species of bass in the state. So they do the slam. And you got every year you can do a 5-fish slam where you catch, and most guys, the ones I know, that's the easy one. But I don't know of anybody, at least in our circle, that's got the lifetime slam. I think Andy Middleton, who's a local kayak tournament angler, he's the closest one that I know of. And there's one bass that has eluded him, and I don't know which one. I don't know which one it is, but he actually had one hooked, and he got it almost to his yak, and it got off. And it devastated him. It haunts him to this day. He's still trying to catch that one. Like some of them, you got to go to South Georgia, and you got to have a kayak or something because they're in creeks. They're not in big rivers and everything. But yes, Messick, we do have that. And I think that would be pretty fun. I've talked about trying to do that in 26 to get every species in 1 year. Not just do the 5, because 5 I think are easy. But try to get all of them. And you'll have to look on DNR's website. There's a couple of them that are pretty cool looking, but a lot of them are very small. It's just like our native trout here in Georgia. Everybody thinks that they go to these things and they see the 9-inch, the snits, the standard 9-inch trout. That's not a native Georgia trout. The native Georgia trout up in the mountains are little brookies and little rainbows, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches long. They don't get much bigger than that. You got to find them way up in the blue lines, up in the mountains. And we did that with Tad Murdoch, Georgia Wild Trout, when we were filming an episode for the Real American Road Trip. And that was fun because we had to take our fly rods, and you can't cast up there. You got to basically pull them back like you're a crappie guy shooting the docks, except the crappie guy bends his pole down and shoots them, and a fly guy bends his pole up. Don't ask me why. I didn't come up with the rules, but that's the way we did it. What's up, DP Fishing Adventure? Roger Gibson, why would anyone ever watch The View? Comedy, pure comedy. I guess if you just want something to laugh about, that's what you'd watch. What's up, John? He's up in Michigan. Got him some smallmouth and rock bass this morning. I caught one of them Michigan rock bass when we were fishing on Big Glen Lake, perch fishing. Actually, it was the first one I caught. We dropped down that little rig with a couple minnows on it, and that's the way they perch fish up there. And the first fish I caught, and it fought pretty good out of deep water. I didn't know what I had. And them old guys up there, they didn't like them. They go, I saw rock bass, because they wanted perch. But I thought it was a pretty cool fish. Doug, let's see. Let me figure. Deshaun's pretty close also, and they're talking about the Lifetime Slam here in Georgia. I might tomorrow for tomorrow's show, I might list all the fish. We might do that. James Ramsey, I'm wanting to say I read a story about a guy who brought rainbow trout to the area many years ago. Now, I don't know the history of trout in the state of Georgia, but I do know if you call up a guide, and say you want to go catch natives, they're going to take you up into the mountain streams for his little bitty trout. Let's see. Doug Wright, I've caught some up the river out of West Point on Brushhead Shoals. I guess you're talking about the are you talking about the trout, or are you talking about the rock bass? What mountains are you talking about? The state of Georgia kind of confuses me, because wouldn't Clarks Hill be up on top of it? No, Messick. When I say mountains, I'm talking about, look at Helen. Your southernmost of the Appalachian comes down across Georgia and heads over into northern Alabama. So basically, if you went to Atlanta straight up, that's what we call the mountains up here. Now, if you want to get technical about it, they can be all over, but I would not consider Clarks Hill a mountain. But I guess if you're a geologist, maybe you can. Rayburn County, White County, Union County, Towns County, Fannin County, those counties up there, those are the ones we consider a mountain. So, but yeah, that's, to me, Clarks Hill's like flatland. Anything below Dawsonville, to me, you're a flatlander. Anything from Dawsonville up, you're starting to get into the hills, and then we get into the mountains and all that. Blue Ridge Mountains, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Rock bass are pretty good eating. I never had one. Everything's been hitting topwater and glide baits up here in Michigan. So there's your Michigan fishing report. If you're in Michigan and you're watching, throw topwater. Shoal bass, okay. And let's see. Clarks Hill's by Augusta. Good trout fishing, absolutely. Hill is in the name. Tony Collum, I don't care. I don't care that Clarks Hill. Don't count. Don't count. Blue Ridge Mountains, not all mountain. It was just be northern Georgia. Actually, I would call it more, God, if I'm looking down on Georgia, more East Georgia. Yeah, it would be called Clarks Mountain if it was a mountain. Well, hey, it is what it is. But if you want to go after natives, the little bitty trout, you got to go. Let's just think north of Helen. Chattahoochee National Forest. Chattahoochee National Forest. That's the easiest way to say it. And the guys around here call it blue line fishing. What is blue line fishing? Open up a map. If you see a blue line, go fish it. Clarks Hill on this is due south. I'm trying to read what you're saying there. Clarks Hill on this, Dye, South Carolina is strong on this side. Okay. Strom Thurmond. It's called Strom Thurmond on that side, South Carolina. I think that's what you're trying to say. Um, Side. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Sometimes when I read something like that, I just go to read. It's what gets me in trouble on the live well. And I've gotten to where I try to look at the comment first. Okay. Anyway, pretty cool. Go out there and catch some of them other bass species. I think it'd be really cool if you caught every single game fish in the state of Georgia. Fat finger typing. DP, I got them. My wife says I got sausage fingers. That's what she says. See, if you go to the upstate of South Carolina, you're in the mountains. So I figured Georgia laid out kind of the same. I get what you're saying. There is part, like the Chattooga River is in Rayburn County. It's on the border of South Carolina. So yes, you are correct. There is a section right up there, but it's a very small section of South Carolina because North Carolina comes right down there on top of it. Patricia Leanne Shaw, we need a classic or a Redcrest on Lake Lanier. We're getting ready to talk about that. Canes Jigs LLC, smallmouth are killing the Ned in the rivers in Illinois. I think I'm going to take a Ned tomorrow for these little bass that we're talking about, these red-eye bass over here on the river. It's Amicola Creek's what they call it, but it's really a river. The only reason it's technically not a river is because it doesn't go long enough before it meets the Etowah. But I can imagine it. Ned and rivers, 100%. So that's going to be what I'm going to try. So appreciate you joining us out there. The reason you're not going to get a classic or Redcrest on Lake Lanier is because, number one, the cities or municipalities around Lake Lanier will not put forth the money to make it happen. It won't happen anymore. In 2012, I think we had an FLW Classic on Lanier. You might be right there, but that's why I like the NPFL. I talk to those guys a lot, and that's what they'll tell you. No, not everybody. What is that? Goose Pond or whatever on Hartwell, or whatever it is on Hartwell where they always go out of. That community invests in getting those tournaments there because it's good for the local economy. You're not going to see Lanier. You're just not going to see Green Pond, Palmer Parish 1. You're not going to see that. Money talks, and that's what it takes to get a major bass tournament on a lake. And there are communities where they plan in their tourism boards and all that to attract these because it helps their local businesses. You know, think about just how it affects it when Alabama was going to put that slot limit or whatever on some of those lakes, some of those Coosa River lakes or whatever. The uproar was not so much the fishing and all that, it was the communities being affected around it. Laurel Park used to be where all the biggest launched out of. I don't know why they quit. Laurel Park still is where the big tournaments go out of, but it's run by Hall County Parks and Rec. Okay? Very nice people. Have no problem going and getting a permit to have a tournament there. But could you get Hall County, Georgia to invest a bunch of money to get the Bassmasters or MLF there? And I don't see it happening. And that's one of the problems. Because, listen, I mean, they don't just pick places randomly out of a hat. Why would you go fish on the Sabine River? Because the people, wherever that went out, they were willing to put forth money for that tournament to come there. Now, Jeremy Conkright, let's get on this. He said the Classic will always be bigger than the Redcrest. Here's why I brought this up. I was perusing Facebook yesterday, and I come across something popped up in my feed from Bass Boat Fan. It's a page that I've never even looked at before. Absolutely had no desire to join the page, whatever, because it's through a dealership or whatever. But they had a conversation going on. Now, the conversation started off with Jacob Wheeler. Now, we know Jacob Wheeler's resume. We know what he just did. The question started off, can Jacob Wheeler be considered one of the greatest of all time without a Bassmaster Classic trophy? And that's how the conversation started. That was what the OP, or whatever you want to call them at the beginning, that's what they put out there. And so that's one question. Now, I know I believe he won a Forest Wood Cup with FLW back in the day. But now he's on MLF and all that, but he doesn't have a Classic win. And to be honest, he doesn't have a Redcrest win either. but he does have a hell of a resume. We all know that. But can Jacob Wheeler be considered one of the greatest of all time, right up there with Kevin Van Dam, Rick Clunn, all those guys, without a Bassmaster Classic win? And so, of course, what do? Right to the comments section. I wanted to see what everybody was saying. And of course, you had some that said, yeah, he is one of the best of all time. Chris Johnson, 6'3", 6'9". I guess I said, yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think, listen, the resume speaks for itself. But that's what they were saying. Now, you had a lot of guys, though, in there saying, without a classic, he can never be considered in the same statement as Kevin Van Dam. Brian Justice, he won it on Lanier. Okay, yeah. So I was thinking that. I wasn't 100% sure off the top of my head. And I really didn't do a lot of research. Broke Bass Boys, what's up? Bandit won. He's on his way to that status, but without a classic win, no. And so, see, that's on TikTok. Bandit One, appreciate you throwing out there. So you got those people that say MLF titles are great. A Redcrest title is great, but if you ain't got the classic, you're never going to be in that conversation with Kevin Van Dam. Now, it also led into the conversation, and you had to read these comments. I wish I could just pull them up on the screen. Patricia Leanshaw, Wheeler only needs to win $4 more million to catch KVD. Yeah, you're right. Bill Dance, Hank Parker, Jimmy Houston doesn't have a classic win. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's a great thought, but it led into, in the conversations, and so there's two ways you can go with this: the decline of Bassmaster and the rise of MLF, the decline of the importance of the Bassmaster Classic, the rise of the Redcrest. And it was some of the most entertaining comments that I have read in a long time. George Cochran was the first angler to win both the Bassmaster Classic and the Forest Wood Cup, now known as the Forest Wood Championship in FLW. And so, first of all, where do you guys rank Jacob Wheeler? Is he in your top 5? Wheeler won the All-American. There were comments in there like anybody, and this is so funny because I know it ain't true. Anybody can catch a 101-pound fish a day. Guys, I saw that in the comment section so much. Hell, I can't. I don't think anybody can do that. But that was in the comment section. One guy put, Hank Parker most certainly does have a classic win. He has 2 of them, Tony Collum. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I just read that comment. Jeremy Conkright, I just went straight through. So, yeah, he does. I didn't even catch it. Captain Morgan, he will win that $4 million more and surpass KVD. It's quite possible. It's quite possible. This is what one guy wrote. I just wrote a couple of comments down. He hasn't won the Redcrest. He needs to win the Bassmaster Classic. No one grows up dreaming of being a Redcrest champion. It's classic or nothing. Now, I will say that that's probably what a lot of people think. Let's see. DP, Clunn, Van Dam, Wheeler, my top 3. There you go. Kevin McShann, they should do a fish-off between the top 5 from each brand. That would be interesting. Like him or not, he's in the top 10 at least. I would think that would be 100% correct. Fish conversation has a lot to do with why MLF is good. Fish conservation. Catch weight and release is best for the fish. Yep, I can agree with that. We talking about Wheeler? Yeah, we are. But it's interesting just to see. It's like everything in fishing. Everybody is so divided. Jandon Smith, 859. Wheeler definitely top 5 without the Classic. Before MLF, he was consistently on top. You're 100% correct. And guys, I mean, let's just be transparent. I didn't watch professional bass fishing before we started doing this podcast. We started this podcast just to talk fishing. And I would imagine the majority of guys out there probably are more like I used to be. They really didn't immigrate. They see Bassmaster on TV every once in a while, whatever. But they really they fish. But as we've progressed here, now I know a lot of these pros and all that. I mean, I was talking to McKinney yesterday. Man, great job, dude. You killed it. You know, and just I have to watch it. I have to learn more about it. So a lot of the history of it, I'm going to be honest, I don't know it all. I rely on you guys. But I'm reading this. The first tournament I ever saw was one of the first MLF tournaments on Kissimmee. Bobby Lane won that. I didn't even know Bassmaster was a thing. Cody Campbell fishing. KVD won 7 Angler of the Years, 4 in a row, 25 tournaments, $8 million. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's kind of like the Michael Jordan LeBron debate. I guess too, a lot of, and see, here was another interesting thing. A lot of it depends on what generation you're from. There was an argument made in the comments section that this generation of younger anglers who weren't raised on just Bassmaster by themselves like we had growing back up, because FLW wasn't, I do remember when FLW became a thing because it was like Walmart or something like that. Even though I didn't watch it, I do remember it became a thing, but Bassmasters in the Classic was always there. But the younger generation now equates MLF and Bassmaster the same. And so there is no jump in, hey, we grew up with Bassmaster, whatever. And that was what some of the arguments too. I really thought Evers was going to win it, but if Wheeler makes the ship, you can count him out. I'm not quite sure what you're saying right there. Type that again. The other tournament that got me obsessed was on the Tennessee River, I think. I believe it was Hackney that struggled for the first period, then found a dock and just slaughtered them after that. Started to hear a lot about FLW when Bass Federation split from BASS. Tony says, I believe you must look at the GOAT conversation in generations. So many changes in tech and whatnot to keep it fair across the board. I don't think Wheeler would dominate on the elites. Now, interesting you say that, because in the comments section, you had your guys that said Wheeler would kick butt on the elites because the elites are nothing more than a young bunch of guys with mommy and daddy's money who've learned how to scope. And that's how this one guy basically described the Bassmaster elites. And there is that, that's that thought going in there with that. I don't agree with that, but these are people in the comment section. Here's a thought. Think about how many anglers in BPT are FLW Bassmaster champions he beats every tournament. It's a thought. If you had to rank the current crop of anglers right now in professional fishing, if we have to talk professional fishing, and you can throw the NPFL in there, so some of the bass guys do that. Who is your top 3 that's fishing right now across the board? Across the board, who are the top 3 anglers in professional bass fishing right now? Skeeter Crosby. The young guys can be on the water every day. Us guys like that have family and businesses. I get that, but I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, Skeeter. The reason we have a family, the reason that we have businesses and all that, those were choices that we made. Now, these young guys, they got a business plan. Just like Kevin Underwood said, they got a business plan, and they want to be professional anglers. So they're putting their eggs in one basket, and they're going for it. And they are on the water every day, 100%. But us old-timers, back in the day when I was 18 or 19, 20, 21, whatever, I made the decision, hey, you know what? I like this girl. I'm going to marry her. I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to do these. And it prevented us from doing a lot of the things that we like to do. These guys today are committed. So I get the family thing. And a lot of us, you're right. And on the local tournament trails, it makes it tough when these young guys show up. But life is about choices. It's about choices. Everything that we've got going on in our life right now is from a choice we made last week, a month, a year, 10, 20 years ago. So that's just kind of when somebody brings up the family thing with businesses and we ain't got time, you are 100% correct. 100% correct, but you're 100% correct. And I believe I'm 100% correct in saying that's the choice we made. That's what we decided to do. All leagues broke basketball, yes. And let's see. Tony said he'd be dumb to leave MLF. He is pretty much the face of MLF and will be as long as he wants. Jacob Wheeler, Trey McKinney, Dustin Connell. That's his top 3. But there's a list of more that can easily be named. Okay. So you got 2 MLF guys and 1 Bass guy. Wheeler, Connell, and then Trey McKinney. Trey McKinney, guys, is tough. I'm telling you. He's 19. Think if Trey McKinney does this for the next 15 years. Think of the next 15 years. Let's see. Does Milliken count as a pro? Yeah, he's a pro. What guys are we talking about? What are we talking about, guys? Or whatever. I think you got to go with wins. Jaden Smith, 859. But is a win, are all wins created equal? How about that? Are all wins created equal? If you win in the MLF, is that the same as over in Bassmaster? Is it the same as in the MPFL? If you're a Bassmaster guy that's fishing the MPFL, does that win in the MPFL count as much as it does if you do it on Bassmaster? So how do you define that? Yes, good for Wheeler. He won $400K this year. Not everyone can do that, but I can running my business. You can, buddy. 100%, Skeeter. I agree with you, man. Hey, listen, it's just a lifestyle we chose. I get it. I would love to win $400,000 fishing. But you know what? With my luck, Skeeter, I'd spend $500,000 to do it. That's just the way I roll. Dustin Connell, Chris Johnson, Brandon Polinick. Okay, that's good. I'll make my money in my business and donate on the MPFL, Skeeter said. 100%, dude. 100%. Of all of them, the MPFL is my favorite. I had Paul Benson in my shop the other day just talking about. I love all those guys. Absolutely 100% love the MPFL. And it ain't got nothing to do with forward-facing sonar. Nothing to do with that. I just like them. I fish it for fun. That's right. Well, I do that listen, me too. I'm a professional donator. If you really want to know, when I go fish a tournament, I am professionally donated. Or you can say semi-amateur. I'm a semi-amateur professional fisherman. That's what Tim McGuire would say. Let's see. Trey, 23 out of 32 checks, $600,000, youngest rookie angler of the year, youngest elite winner. Yeah, I know. I think that's preference. I say Bass is on top, but the MPFL is truly more equal. Do you think it'll become as big as Bass and MLF? That's tough. But I can tell you what, if anybody can do it, the MPFL, I think, has proven that they can at least hang. That's the part you got to get with these professional organizations, because you got Bass and MLF up here, and there's been other people wanting to do, trails like this. What's the MPFL going on? 4 years now? 4 years now? The biggest splash this year saying that no forward-facing sonar, elite guys coming over and fishing it as well. Could it? I don't know. But I will tell you this. In my order of preference, it's MPFL, then Bass, then MLF. And that's only because I don't watch a lot of MLF stuff, and I need to start. I really need to start. But could it? It could. You never know. I think Trey McKinney is going to end up being like, unless something happens, let's just say unless something happens, the kid, he's got that it factor. You got to compete against the classic atmosphere, and that's tough. Big time. Absolutely. My top 3 across the board currently is Wheeler, Milliken, and Alton Jones Jr. Broke bass boy. Milliken. I'm not saying Milliken's not cool, and I'm not saying Milliken can't fish. You think Milliken is top 3 professional angler out there? Hard to leave Patrick Walter out of that mess. Absolutely. Got to include Welcher. Kyle Welcher is in my top 5, 100%. The biggest difference between old school people and new school people, they have been pretty much prepared for it since youth age, just like that of a travel baseball player. And Patrick Walters. Patrick Walters is amazing. But see right there, Fred Ashcraft, that's the thing. And you get your guys on social media, and I'm not even going to say their names, but you know who I'm talking about. Flat brimmers. First of all, it's a flat bill, but it's not flat brimmers. And these kids ain't put the time out on the water and all this. They haven't done it for 40 years the way we did in the old school days. Man, they've been doing it since they could walk. They've been doing it just like every one of you guys that's a parent that's got a half-ass athletic kid out there. You know the word travel ball comes up. Now, travel ball today doesn't mean what travel ball did 20 years ago, but it's still travel ball. Everybody wants to put their kid in travel ball. And you got kids going to these baseball clinics, taking batting practice every day or pitching practice every day, 3 times a week on school nights to 9 o'clock. And then they got to go home and do their homework. It's all they've ever done. It's what the what they're doing. A lot of guys say it's the worst thing that could happen to them. It burns them out. It does a lot, but that's the way the life is. I coached forever in Park and Rec. You don't know how many times I saw a kid who could at 5 years old in T-ball league was the one that could catch, and none of the other snot booger kids could do it. But his daddy like, okay, he's got something. He's already ahead of him. He's my retirement plan. Dustin Connell won $35,000 this year on the BPT trail. That's all. Wow. Easton Stanley, top 3 is hard to list. There are at least 5 guys in every league that consistently catch them and win. True. But if you had to pick 3, Easton, what would they be? If you had to pick 3, if you were starting, okay, let's do a basketball team. Let's do it like a basketball team. What's your starting lineup? You got 5, a starting lineup. Who's your starting lineup? Your basketball team for professional fishing. And it can come from any of the leagues. Any of the leagues. DC didn't make Redcrest next year, did he? I'm not 100% sure on that. More bass guys that fish the MPFL, the bigger it will get. Top 3, Connell, Lee, and Walters. Jordan Lee's a name that, ought to be in a lot of conversation. Jordan Lee's pretty good. Milliken is great. If he shifted his focus from content creator to focus on the Pro Series, he would shake the board. But he makes more from content than the pros could ever pay. I get that. So Buck Clark says, Wheeler, Thrift, Ott. Those are 21. You can tell when the travel ball people show up in the Escalades. And then, of course, traveling fishermen, MJ, Larry Bird, Kobe Shack, Reggie Miller. Well, you got the assignment. Now do it in fishing. How you doing today, traveling fisherman? Do it in fisherman. But that's your opinion. And I get it. I don't know, though. But as of right now, Broke Bass, he's not top 3 or top 5 professional anglers. He might be social content. Now, here, Chris Johnson, 6'3", 696. Here's his starting 5. Wheeler, McKinney, Chris Johnston, Ito, and Easton Fothergill. Hey, I mean, right now, considering if you had to pick it right now, that's not bad. And then over here on Facebook, let's see, or YouTube. First, Stephen Guthrie says the greatest of all time is Roland Martin, Kevin Van Dam, Rick Clunn. I'd disagree with you on Roland. I probably put Roland down a little bit, but really that's an argument you can have and not be wrong either way. Connell also won $300,000 in Redcrest. Redcrest winner automatically in next year. Could be his 3rd in a row. Okay, so you answered that. Messick's top 5. Connell, Lee, Taku, Welcher, and Wheeler. Hey, listen, interesting. So you got 2 MLF guys. Jordan. It's a tough argument to go against. The traveling fisherman, his top 5. Clunn, G-Man, Wheeler, Lee, KVD. But now, traveling fishermen, of those fishing right now, so take Clunn and KVD out of that. And G-Man is by far one of the most popular ones. Why would you put him on your starting 5 on your travel ball team? We're doing a fishing travel ball team. This is the way it's become today. Fishing travel ball team. If you had to stack the deck to go against 5 others. But what do you guys think? Like, honestly, what's your opinions on the Redcrest? Now, I went, let me read these. Longevity top 5. Wheeler, Connell, McKinney, Latimer, Milliken. Okay. Over here, Wheeler, McKinney, Welcher, Connell, BMP, because I've been a fan. He's consistent and he performs. I get that 100%. You got to have some diversity. And each has his own strengths. Taku just has as much knowledge in fishing. Who y'all taking on northern smallmouth lakes only? Well, you can't go wrong on Johnston. Either one of the Johnston brothers. I mean, that's seriously. Yeah, exactly. The Johnston boys. But, I mean, McKinney did pretty good up there. Wheeler or McKinney. So, see, that's it. What would you guys over here on YouTube, what would you take? If you had a smallmouth. And it would change. But that's the thing about McKinney and Wheeler and all them, that they're consistent. I mean, what's the next tournament? It's going to be, is it Chris and Trey? They're tied, battling it out for Angler of the Year. And it's on a lake that the Johnston boys are good on. McKinney's pretty much good everywhere. If he didn't have that one bad tournament earlier this year, I don't even know if it'd be an issue. Van Dam, Clunn, Connell, Wheeler, Ott. Wheeler can catch the small as good as any broke bass boys. And that was what a lot of these guys were arguing in the thing. It's more impressive for a guy to go catch over 3 days or whatever, 4 days, whatever, and win the Bassmaster Classic, win 5 fish a day, than it is for any guy to go through and catch 150 small fish a day. I mean, these are just things that were being said. This is not my opinion. Father Gill is right there with McKinney. He's good. He's good. Fritz, yeah, that's another one. I think the biggest thing, though, the biggest thing I found interesting was how if they were an MLF fan, it was so much better than Bassmaster. And if you had the Bassmaster guy over here, you can't be the greatest without a classic win. Guys over here on the MLF side, Redcrest has gotten to be as big. We're not talking about the Expos. We're talking about the actual tournament. The Redcrest is every bit as big and every bit as an important tournament as the Bassmaster Classic. The argument going back and forth and the way they were legitimizing it was some of the most enjoyable comment section that I've read in forever. Now, my opinion, and it's only because if I have to be transparent, I don't follow the MLF. I'm getting ready to start. I'm going to put more of my time in there to figuring it all out, learning all the guys. I'm going to. That's one of my goals for 2026. I'm going to keep up with the MLF. So I can't say right now anything other than the Bassmaster Classic is the pinnacle of professional fishing. Would you rather win a national championship or a Super Bowl? Super Bowl is going to always be the biggest thing in football. I do love MLF's new format. I didn't watch it a ton until then. I'll have to watch it. But y'all got to think Wheeler has never won a Redcrest or a Classic, so how do you regulate that? Well, do you have to, though? Dan Marino probably is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. Cannon for an arm. Stupid accurate. If he played in today's offenses, it might be crazy to see what he could do. But he never won a Super Bowl. But I guarantee you that a lot of people will put Dan Marino in the top 5. Dan was the best of the best traveling fisherman. Hard to convince me that Milliken isn't the go-to guy if you are fishing a 5-fish limit. The dude catches hogs. Man, I tell you what, he might not even be fishing the elites next year, though. He's on that cut line. Which one is going to be the first to pay $500,000? That's where, they need to get the money back in it. It's like Roland Martin winning all those AOYs, but no classic wins. Dustin Connell is my top guy right now. Can't argue with that. Can't argue with it. See, when it comes to MLF, the ones that I do know Wheeler. I do know Don Connell, Defoe. There are a few in there that I know just because you got to know. You can't watch any professional fishing without knowing them. But it's that 10th guy down that, man, I don't have a clue. So I need to do a better job. That's on me. I see you, Macy Watkins. Broke Bass Boys agrees. And I'm sorry, Macy, if you're still watching that I didn't go see you at the GON forum. I didn't know you had a booth. I did not know you had a booth until afterwards. I saw a picture of you on the GON page or Facebook. It might have been your Facebook page. I had no idea you were there. I saw your booth, but you weren't in the booth at that time. And I just thought somebody was there representing your clothing brand. I would have loved to have talked to you and congratulated you on your marriage and all that. Would have been very nice. The one time you were here, I wasn't here. I wished I was here. Broke Bass Boy. Listen, guys, Ben Milliken, of all the comments today, I just don't know that I can put Ben Milliken in my top 20 professional anglers right now. Now, personalities, maybe. For me, the top 5 would be Wheeler, Jordan Lee, Trey McKinney, Connell, and Matt Robertson because of his great personality. I talked to Matt. Don't sleep on Drew Gill, Buck Clark said. I talked to Matt Robertson down there at ICAST. Guy's a hoot. He is a hoot. He's a big old boy, too. Now, granted, I'm 5'7". Everybody's big to me, but Matt Robertson's a big old boy. And I tell you what, he wouldn't be on the cut line if so. They're talking about Milliken. And I know you love it, Broke Bass Boys. And I want to say, don't stop loving Ben Milliken. Ben Milliken is a great YouTube guy. I know you. I know how much you like him. What the heck was I going to say? Did you guys see? Ben is a businessman, not a tournament angler. Everything he's done to help expand success. Ryan says, I fished with Matt for years. Listen, he's a hoot, but did you see the elites the other day when he was on and the camera guy, he hooked a fish, and I think he had said something earlier in the day. But the camera guy actually said, hey, we're live. Keep it clean. If this was like the draft, I'm taking Trey McKinney over everyone. Not all time, but right now. Can't go wrong with that. And he's only 19, dude. It's crazy. Roland Martin has the most AOI and never won a classic either, and that record will never be broken. Maybe. Roland is trash. This is a great show, Patricia Leanne Shaw says. Roland never won a classic because he couldn't get info on it. Oh, Lord, here we go. Here we go. Milliken wouldn't even be in my top 50. Isn't Martin's granddaughter about to be professional? I don't know. I think she's in college right now. We had that one little short went out. She'll make the classic before her daddy will again. I guess that's what was said that night. Will G-Man win a tournament before he retires? Or a classic? He's a great dude. He's a great dude. I don't want to say nothing negative about G-Man because I want him on my show at some point. You guys can argue that one out. Let's see. Don't sleep on Lee Livesey. Yeah, 100%. But Jeremy said Milliken wouldn't be in my top 50. Well, you could turn this conversation around and like go to who's the most overrated professional angler out there. But I think Milliken does a good show at showing the big fish catches and making it interesting. But y'all got to think the dude lives in Texas where the Giants live. Location, location, location. Don't sleep on eBear next year either. G-Man may win an MPFL. I don't know about BASS. I'm telling you, there's some hammers in the MPFL because those same people that he's got to contend with in Bass, he's got to contend with over in the MPFL, and some of them MPFL anglers were amazing anglers as well. All the interviews I've seen, most anglers place the AOI above the classic win. Brian Justice, I was actually going to bring that up, and I hadn't got around to it. I also like Brandon Polinick over there. What's more impressive, winning Angler of the Year or the Classic? I would say winning Angler of the Year is more impressive, but when it comes to the aura or whatever you want to say, the recognition, do we say Jordan Lee, two-time Bassmaster Classic winner, or do we say Jordan Lee, whatever? I mean, what do we say when we're talking about it? This guy won the Bassmaster Classic. I don't know. We do say Angler of the Year sometimes, but I think the AOI is better for you. AOI is better than two, but much more comes with the Classic, especially the distinction. That's what I was meaning to say. The Classic pays more. AOI takes consistency. That's why it's more impressive. Which came first, AOI or the Classic? I don't know. Somebody out there answer me that. Which came first, AOI or the Classic? Because I don't know the answer to that. AOI is like the Heisman or MVP of bass fishing. Can't argue with that. The Classic, I think Ryan said the Classic came first, if that's what you're saying, Ryan. It's an interesting argument. I would assume the Classic's what they said on TikTok. Everybody's saying the Classic. Patricia Leanne Shaw. AOI is what he said. Okay, so you guys have to argue it out. I am just going back and forth between the cameras here and that. But you personally, if you were a professional angler, would you like to be known as Danny Pruitt, two-time Bassmaster Classic winner, or Danny Pruitt, two-time Angler of the Year? Classic winner sounds sexier. Let me readjust my TikTok here, boys. Make sure I don't lose these guys over here. Got to type in all these little passcodes. This is like ridiculous that we have to do this stuff every single time. And then we go to live again, scroll over. And bad thing is I got a cracked screen on my iPhone, and it is terrible. There we go. Now we're good. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I want the Classic over everything, Shannon Smith said. AOI is like making it to the Super Bowl, then losing. Woo. Good take. Good take. I'd have to say probably Classic winner myself, though. If you had to pick up a girl, if this was part of your pickup line, which is going to give you the best chance for success? Hey, I'm Danny Pruitt, Bassmaster Classic winner 2 times. Or, hey, I was 2-time Angler of the Year. There's something about that Bassmaster Classic. AOI is a body of work. Classic is a good or lucky fit. Fish finder value guide is. Hey, true, I get it. Jeremy said, I think the AOI is more prestigious, but it might not pick up as many girls. I'm just kidding with that. I'll take the AOI more. AOI got the more money I made. Far Dog says, Shakira, McKinney, Wheeler, Connell, Walters. Women's point of view, I'd say we go for a classic man. That's Grace Mulkey on TikTok. So there you go. You got a female chiming in. If you guys are going to want to pick her up, she's going to go for the classic man. I like that answer. Guys can win classics that can't win AOI. True. I'm the traveling fisherman, 2-time classic winner. Sounds good, dude. It sounds good. AOI gives you more longevity in the sport. Kyle Welcher will be first to win AOI in 2 different organizations. Hey, that sounds really good. Let's go. Most of us that love bass fishing as a sport grew up dreaming about winning the classic. People fish the opens with the hope and chance of getting to the classic. And that goes this, which sounds better. And again, you guys are deciding. Hey, I'm Danny Pruitt, 2025 Redcrest winner. I'm Danny Pruitt, 2025 Bassmaster Classic winner. I'm just saying. They both could be the same. Just what sounds better on the resume. Just got to try and knock them both out in a single season. That would be awesome. Classic is the granddaddy of them all. And traveling fisherman, I don't know what in the world BMC means. Remember, I'm old, dude. You got to spell it out for me. Classic is a bigger deal to the general public. AOI is probably a bigger deal to the tournament angler, and I think you're 100% correct. Only reason anyone fishes pro is to win the Classic or the Redcrest. Oh, Bassmaster Classic. I thought you was going to give me some of this new Gen Z stuff right there. That's why you fish pro fishes to win that. But that's a good point, Brazil. 100% good point. It also depends on who you are. AOI is the best of 100 through 9 tournaments, and the Classic is 1 tournament with only 50. Yeah, but you got Danny won the Bassmaster Classic. Yeah, that's right. But you got to be one of those 50. So to be in that 50 is still kind of prestigious, right? But I do agree that tournament guys will tell you every single time that the Angler of the Year is a more impressive win. It's a more impressive accomplishment. We've had that conversation with some of the guys on the show. But it's still the Classic, though. It's a catch-22. It is. But if y'all think about it, I believe getting an AOI is harder than winning the Classic. I think so, too. I mean, no, seriously. Now, look, an AOI is tough. Okay, so what's more impressive? An AOI in Bassmaster or an AOI in MLF? Or an AOI in MPFL? Which one's tougher? Which one's more prestigious? If you walk through Bass Pro Shop still to this day and said, I'm Danny Pruitt, 2025 Bass Classic winner, ladies would know what you're talking about. Recognition. That's what you're saying right there, Far Dog. Recognition. Yeah, I would say this. My wife knows 2 things about fishing outside of the fact that I like to do it in this shop. She knows 2 things about fishing. She knows who Bill Dance is, because when we were there, Kevin Van Dam, Justin says, when we were there at ICAST, she saw Kevin Van Dam. I mean, not Kevin Van Dam. You done messed me up over here, Justin. She saw Bill Dance in that Tennessee hat, and she remembered from her childhood that her daddy, God rest his soul, loved Bill Dance. And so what did my wife and my daughter do? She went straight over there, and she got her picture made with him. The other thing that my wife could tell you is the Bassmaster Classic. And she doesn't watch anything. It's qualified 50 for the Classic by AOI. You're consistent. Yeah, I 100%, Mason, I get you. But when it comes to recognizable things, like I said, my wife doesn't give a hoot about fishing, about hunting. Other than that, she wants the deer to eat. The only thing about fishing she cares is after every tournament I come home, she goes, "Hey, did you win anything?" Um, they named us poles dance class. 100% they did. So, but it's recognizable. It's recognizable. Bassmaster Classic. So, but it was just, man, I'm telling you, like we've gone down a lot of stuff here. It was so interesting to watch these guys argue it out. Uh, 15 green fish to change somebody's life is crazy to say that. Redcrest, they be like, "Oh, you race motorcycles? You guys are crazy." People who don't watch football tend to still watch the Super Bowl and not know who the MVP was because it's become an event. That's a good point. The Bassmaster Classic is an event. I went to the expo with a couple of buddies of mine this year to the Redcrest. It's okay. I didn't watch a second of the Redcrest other than what they had on the big screen at the expo. I didn't, and again, that might be my fault. Maybe I'm wrong for that. AOI cost you more to win. The Classic is free. Patricia Leanne Shaw. Classic and AOI same year. Who has the most Classic and AOIs combined? Classic and AOI the same year. Roger, I don't know the answer to that question. I'd have to look at again. I'm still learning all this stuff the way you guys, which is what's good for me is like I don't have really a dog in the fight because I didn't grow up, and I kind of have friends that fish bass and NPFL, and like I say, I got to work on my MLF guys. The two kids that are coming on tonight, the MLF college champions. I need to learn more about it. But anyway, all that spun out of my head from a single Facebook post. A single Facebook post. People also watch the Super Bowl just for the commercials too. You know, hey, listen, when it comes to the Redcrest, we need to pay more attention to it. I did not this year, and I should have. I could be mistaken, but I don't believe Wheeler used live scope at all the entire championship round. Sorry for the subject change. I don't know. I didn't watch it. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But, I mean, again, it goes back. Is Wheeler top 3 of all time, or especially right now? Who's on top? Boyd trying to get sports betting started for fishing. I hadn't heard that. It's in everything else. Why not? Listen, to me, gambling, like the lotto, it's just free will taxes. You just do what you want. Fishing a bass tournament's gambling. You're doing nothing more than gambling $100 entry fee or $200 entry fee. Who has the best commentators, MLF or Bass? Neither, because they don't have me on there. They need to get me to do that. Top of all time can easily be determined by gross career winnings. It could. But what if one organization paid more than the other? What if Bass didn't pay as much as MLF? The harder anglers were over there in Bass, but MLF, you made more money. I don't know how you do it. Tournament fishing is gambling. It is. It's 100%. It ain't no different. And when I get off this show, I'm going to ride up here to this gas station, and I'm going to have to wait in line for 10 minutes because there's going to be 32 locals in there wanting to get a number 28, a number 9, and a number 5, and a pack of Marlboros, and maybe one of them vapes. They blow their money up. That's their gambling. Me, hey, if I get to gamble it off, get to fish a tournament, same thing. I'm going to throw $100 down, see if I catch more fish. You know, the NPFL Fat Cat. Fat Cat's all right. Also, all organizations used to pay less, right? I think some of the payouts used to be higher. Dale Hollow. I don't know what you're talking about, Justin. But I would like to get on there with Zoner or somebody. Mercer. I'd have a fun time with Mercer because he's a chunky boy like myself, although about 1.5 feet taller. Marlboro, the Cowboy Killers. Yeah, right. Skill-based gambling, maybe. Not pure. No, it's not pure gambling. I get it. I'm just throwing it out there, though. It's gambling. Any of the commentators are great if they would hush while the angler is talking. 100%. Listen, guys, I don't like, it doesn't matter. I don't really like watching bass fishing for tournaments for the commentators. We need a $10,000 entry fee tournament to weed out the wannabes. Payouts were way bigger in the 90s compared to now. Yeah. They said sinkers in the belly. Who said sinkers in the belly? I don't know. But I think what I do is I turn it on here in the shop sometimes and I listen. It's kind of like my behind the scenes stuff while I'm working and doing something. And then when I hear somebody's hooked up or saying something, then I'll turn and pay attention to it. But when they do that midday crap, I cut it off. I believe Seth Feider smoked some cowboy killers. Listen, Seth Feider, I talked to at ICAST. He's going to come on my podcast. He said he would do it. I'm going to wait till the end of the season and right before his turkey season. So I got to catch him between the turkey hunting and the fishing. But Seth Feider was a pretty cool dude. I was like, I want you on my podcast. And he's like, yeah, dude. He is what he is. When you see him, what you see is the way Seth Feider acted the night we was around him. And Matt Robertson was right there with him. They're like, peas and carrots. But yeah, so Seth Feider said he would come on, and Matt Robertson said he would come on. I just hope that they didn't have too much that night and they remember it. They need to get the Ninja Warrior commentators on all pro series. Seth is a new Marlboro man. He looks it. He looks the part. You think catching smallies on the bed is fishing? Yeah, I do. It might not be the best type of fishing, but it is fishing. Um, I think it's really interesting with the flogger. If you got to pull out that, parking cone to see fish, don't fuss about forward facing sonar if you're going to let them have the parking cone out there. I like Matt too. He's not right. See, they're my kind of guys. Let's see if Cole Floyd can conquer Mount. I can't even say that. Medioyama tonight on MLF. You might want to get Seth between fishing and duck hunting. That's what I'm saying now. I'd run a sluggo on the smallmouth. Yeah, for sure. But they seem like really cool guys. Really cool guys. So, all right, guys. So with that, we had a great conversation today. Well, there's no telling what will pop into my mind before tomorrow. I think waiting a week to watch Bob Cobb was still more interesting a week after a tournament to see who won than today's live. And a lot of us older guys, Far Dog, I think agree with you on that. So anyway, those are 21. You have a good day. All you guys, Danny has never watched Ninja Warrior. Bad joke. I've not, dude. Okay, I haven't, dude. I really haven't. I've never watched an episode of Ninja Warrior, if I'm being transparent. So with that, I'm going to end the day. You guys tonight at 8 o'clock. And if you guys are if you're on TikTok, you need to watch it on YouTube because it's much better. You ever run Charlie Brewer baits? No, I have not. But I'm not opposed to it. It was different, Messick, back then. It was. It's one thing to win a classic, but back-to-back is big. I agree with that. See, Doug's got to run. You guys be good. I'm going to see you this evening at 8 o'clock. If you can't join us tonight for Brody Robinson and Dalton Head of the University of Montebello, a couple national championships, MLF, and a Bassmaster, of course, as well. If you can't join us tonight, join us tomorrow at 12 o'clock. We'll start talking about something else. Something's going to pop into my mind between now and then, and we will just take a break in the middle of the day and talk it out. So you guys have a great rest of your day. If you're in the area, come by, see me at the shop. If not, we'll see you tomorrow or tonight. Either one, up to you. See you guys.